The doorbell rang like a gunshot in the quiet suburban home in suburban Chicago, shattering the evening calm. Mark Thompson stood frozen in the kitchen, his heart pounding as he heard his wife, Sarah, open the door to his mother, Evelyn. What Evelyn revealed next would unravel everything. A stack of photos showing Mark in a tender embrace with another man, her voice dripping with accusation as she demanded Sarah leave him for good. Mark had always known the truth about himself, but it took 35 years to admit it. Raised in a strict Catholic family where deviation from the norm meant eternal damnation, he buried his feelings deep, marrying Sarah right out of college because she was kind, beautiful, and everything his parents approved of. They built a life together. A cozy house in Oak Park, 2 kids, Emily and Jack, now 8 and 6, and a routine that masked his inner turmoil. But lately, the facade cracked. Late nights at work turned into stolen moments with Alex, a colleague who'd become more than a friend. Alex, with his easy laugh and understanding eyes, made Mark feel seen for the first time. That fateful evening, Evelyn stormed in unannounced, her face a mask of righteous fury. "Sarah, you need to see this," she said, thrusting the envelope forward. Sarah's hands trembled as she pulled out the pictures. Mark and Alex at a coffee shop, their hands intertwined. Another of them walking arm in arm in a park. Mark rushed in from the kitchen, his face paling. "Mom, what the hell are you doing?" he shouted, but the damage was done. Sarah's eyes filled with tears, not of anger, but of quiet devastation. "Is this true, Mark?" she whispered. The confrontation escalated quickly. Evelyn, a widow who devoted her life to the church and her only son, refused to back down. "You've been living a lie, Mark. This is a sin, and you're dragging your family into hell with you." Mark's voice broke as he faced Sarah. "Yes, it's true. I'm gay. I've been trying to tell you, but I didn't know how." Sarah collapsed onto the couch, the kids upstairs oblivious for now. Evelyn pressed on. "Sarah, you deserve better. Divorce him. Take the kids. I'll help you." But Sarah, ever the level-headed one, shook her head. "This isn't your decision, Evelyn. Mark and I need to talk. Alone." After Evelyn left, slamming the door, Mark and Sarah sat in the dim living room, the weight of years pressing down. "How long?" Sarah asked, her voice steady despite the pain. "A few months with Alex, but the feelings, forever." Mark confessed everything. The confusion in his teens, the pressure from his family to be normal, the love he felt for Sarah that was real but not romantic. To his surprise, Sarah didn't rage. "I suspected something," she admitted. "You've been distant. But the kids, what about them?" They talked through the night, tears mixing with tentative plans. Divorce, yes, but amicable. Co-parenting, sharing custody equally. Mark would move out, but they'd remain a team for Emily and Jack. The next morning, Mark called Alex, his voice raw. "It's out. Everything's out." Alex, a graphic designer at the same firm, had come out years ago and lived openly. "I'm here for you," he said simply. Mark felt a spark of hope amid the chaos. But Evelyn wasn't done. She called later that day, her tone icy. "If you think I'll let you destroy this family, you're wrong. Those children need a proper upbringing. Not this abomination." Mark hung up, but her words lingered like a threat. Weeks passed in a blur of lawyers and awkward family dinners. Sarah and Mark explained to the kids in simple terms. "Mommy and Daddy love each other as friends now, and we'll both always be here for you." Emily cried. Jack asked endless questions, but they adjusted faster than expected. Mark found a small apartment nearby, and his relationship with Alex deepened. Quiet dates, shared dreams of a future unburdened by secrets. Yet Evelyn schemed in the shadows. She visited Sarah often, offering support, laced with manipulation. "Mark's choice will scar the children forever," she'd say. "Think about their souls." Sarah resisted at first, but doubt crept in. One evening, she confided in Mark. "Your mom showed me articles about kids from broken homes. She's pushing for full custody." Mark's anger flared. "She's crossing a line. This is our family, not hers." The tension built as court dates loomed. Evelyn hired a private investigator to dig up more on Alex, painting him as unstable. Mark confronted her at her house, the air thick with unresolved grudges. "Why can't you accept me?" he pleaded. Evelyn's eyes hardened. "Because God doesn't. And I won't watch my grandchildren suffer." Her words cut deep, exposing the chasm between maternal love and blind faith. Mark left, vowing to fight, but the emotional toll mounted. Sleepless nights, strained co-parenting, the fear of losing his kids. As the divorce proceedings began, Mark realized this wasn't just about his coming out. It was a battle for autonomy against a lifetime of control. Alex stood by him, but even that relationship strained under the pressure. "Is this worth it?" Alex asked one night. Mark nodded, but doubt gnawed at him. The choices he'd made demanded sacrifices, and the price was steeper than imagined. The courtroom in downtown Chicago felt like a pressure cooker, the air heavy with unspoken judgments. Mark sat beside his lawyer, glancing at Sarah across the aisle, her face composed but weary. Evelyn occupied a seat in the back, her presence a silent accusation that amplified every whisper in the room. The judge reviewed the custody agreement, joint 50-50, with provisions for therapy for the kids. It seemed straightforward, but Evelyn's lawyer, a sharp-suited ally from her church circle, stood up. "Your Honor, we have evidence that Mr. Thompson's lifestyle poses a risk to the children's moral development." Mark's stomach dropped as photos and emails were presented. Not just of him and Alex, but fabricated stories of unstable behavior. Evelyn had twisted Alex's past therapy sessions for anxiety into proof of instability. Sarah's eyes widened in shock. "This isn't what we agreed on," she murmured to her own counsel. But Evelyn had whispered in her ear for weeks, planting seeds of fear about the kids' future in a non-traditional home. "What if they get bullied?" Evelyn had asked. "What if Mark's choices confuse them?" Sarah, torn between loyalty to Mark and protective instincts, hadn't fully resisted. Mark took the stand, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. "I love my children more than anything. My sexuality doesn't change that. Sarah and I have worked hard to make this transition smooth." The judge nodded, but Evelyn's testimony followed. "As their grandmother, I've seen the confusion in their eyes. Mark's sin, his choice, will lead them astray. I beg the court to grant Sarah full custody, with supervised visits for Mark." Her tears seemed genuine, but Mark knew the performance all too well. Outside the courtroom, Mark confronted Sarah. "Did you know about this?" She shook her head, but hesitation flickered. "Your mom. She's convincing. She said it's for the best." Betrayal stung like a slap. Mark had trusted Sarah to stand firm, but the societal whispers, subtle homophobia in their conservative suburb, had worn her down. "We're supposed to be a team," he said, voice cracking. Alex waited in the hallway, offering a hug that grounded Mark. "We'll get through this." But doubt crept in. Alex had his own family issues, disowned by conservative parents in Texas, but he'd built a life free of such entanglements. "Is your mom going to stop?" he asked later over dinner. Mark sighed. "She thinks she's saving us all." The ruling came a week later, joint custody upheld, but with a caveat for family counseling, influenced by Evelyn's pleas. It was a partial victory, but the damage lingered. Emily started acting out at school, echoing Evelyn's words. "Grandma says Daddy's different is bad." Jack clung to Mark during visits, sensing the tension. Evelyn didn't relent. She organized a prayer circle at her church, subtly outing Mark to the community. Whispers turned to stares at the grocery store, old friends distancing themselves. Mark's boss called him in, citing distractions affecting performance. The job he'd held for a decade now felt precarious. In a moment of vulnerability, Mark visited Evelyn alone. "Mom, why are you doing this?" "I came out to live honestly, not to hurt anyone." She sat rigidly in her armchair, rosary in hand. "Honesty? This is selfishness. You had a perfect life, a wife, children. You threw it away for him." Her disdain for Alex was palpable. Mark pressed, "But what about my happiness? Doesn't that matter?" Evelyn's eyes softened for a split second, then hardened. Happiness is obedience to God, not fleeting desires. The conversation ended in stalemate, but it ignited Mark's resolve. He and Sarah attended counseling together, rebuilding trust. "I'm sorry I let her influence me," Sarah admitted. "I was scared." They redrafted boundaries, limiting Evelyn's access until she respected their decisions. Yet the ripple effects continued. Alex faced harassment, anonymous calls, keyed car, traced back to Evelyn's church friends. "This is getting dangerous," Alex said, packing a bag after one particularly vicious incident. Mark begged him to stay. "I can't lose you too." Alex paused, torn. "But at what cost? Your mom's war is destroying us." Mark's inner conflict raged. Coming out had freed him, but the price? Fractured family, threatened livelihood, endangered love, felt overwhelming. He questioned every decision. Was honesty worth the pain inflicted on his kids? The societal backlash reinforced his isolation, making him wonder if suppression had been the kinder path. As high noon approached in this personal drama, Mark made a bold move. He scheduled a family meeting, inviting Evelyn, Sarah, and even Alex. "We need to end this," he declared. The stage was set for confrontation, where truths would clash and alliances shift, forcing each to confront the consequences of their actions. The family meeting unfolded in Sarah's living room, the same space where Mark's world had first cracked open. Tension hung thick as Evelyn arrived, Bible in hand, her expression a fortress of conviction. Sarah greeted her coolly, the kids sent to a neighbor's to shield them. Alex sat beside Mark, a quiet pillar of support, though his eyes betrayed wariness. Mark started, voice firm. "Mom, your interference has to stop. We're co-parenting successfully, but your schemes are tearing us apart." Evelyn scoffed. "Schemes? I'm protecting my grandchildren from your perversion." The word landed like a blow, but Mark held steady. "It's not perversion. It's who I am, and denying it nearly destroyed me." Sarah interjected, her patience worn thin. "Evelyn, you raised Mark to be honest. Now that he is, you're punishing him." "Why?" Evelyn's facade cracked slightly. "Because it's wrong. The Bible says," Alex cut in gently, "the Bible also says to love thy neighbor." "Mark's my neighbor, my partner. Doesn't that count?" Evelyn glared at him. You're the tempter here." The argument escalated, voices rising in a cacophony of accusations. Evelyn revealed her deepest fear. "If Mark lives this way, the kids will think it's normal. They'll end up lost like him." Mark's anger boiled over. "Lost? I was lost pretending to be straight. Marrying Sarah was a mistake. Not because she's not wonderful, but because I couldn't love her that way." Sarah nodded, tears welling. "We both deserve real love, Evelyn. Mark's found it with Alex." But Evelyn dropped a bombshell. "I filed for grandparents' rights. If you won't protect the children, I will." The room fell silent. Grandparents' rights, in Illinois, possible if it proved parental unfitness. Mark's lawyer had warned of this, but hearing it stung. "You're trying to take them from us?" Sarah gasped, betrayal etching her features. "How could you?" Evelyn's motivation spilled out, raw and unfiltered. Widowed young, she'd poured everything into Mark, molding him into the perfect son. His coming out shattered her illusion of control, her faith-tested life. "I can't fail you again," she whispered, voice breaking. For the first time, Mark saw her not as a villain, but a woman crippled by fear and loss. The meeting dissolved into chaos. Sarah stormed out, vowing to fight Evelyn in court. Alex pulled Mark aside. "This is insane. Your mom's obsession is toxic." Mark nodded, but pity mingled with rage. "She's hurting too, in her way." Amid the turmoil, Mark and Alex's relationship teetered. Late-night arguments erupted. "I didn't sign up for this war," Alex confessed. "I love you, but your family drama is suffocating." Mark understood. Alex had escaped his own oppressive past, only to be pulled into another's. "Give me time," Mark pleaded. But time was a luxury they lacked. Sarah unexpectedly became an ally. United against Evelyn, she testified in Mark's favor. Mark's a great father. His orientation doesn't change that. The judge, swayed by expert opinions on LGBTQ plus families, denied Evelyn's petition. But victory was Pyrrhic, relationship scarred, trust eroded. Evelyn, defeated, retreated into isolation. Mark visited her, extending an olive branch. "Mom, I forgive you, but you need to accept me." She wept, murmuring apologies mixed with prayers. It was a tentative step, but the wounds ran deep. As the dust settled, Mark reflected on the costs. His honesty had liberated him, yet alienated his mother, strained his co-parenting, and tested his love. The kids, resilient, adapted, but carried invisible scars. Society's gaze lingered, a constant reminder of the fight for normalcy. The high point of drama crested, leading to uneasy resolutions. Mark and Alex recommitted, planning a quiet commitment ceremony. Sarah dated again, finding peace. But Evelyn's shadow loomed, her other plans thwarted but not forgotten. The family teetered on the edge of healing, each decision echoing with the price paid for authenticity. Months after the court ruling, normalcy crept back into Mark's life like cautious sunlight after a storm. He and Sarah alternated weeks with the kids, their interactions cordial, even warm at times. Emily's school projects featured both homes. Jack's soccer games saw them cheering side by side. But Evelyn's absence created a void. Holidays felt incomplete without her overbearing presence. Mark reached out repeatedly, leaving voicemails laced with hope. "Mom, the kids miss you. Let's try again." Finally, she agreed to coffee at a neutral cafe in the city. Seated across from her, Mark noticed the lines etched deeper on her face, the weight of defeat in her posture. "I was wrong to go that far," she admitted quietly. "But I can't condone your life." It was progress fragile as glass. Mark shared stories of the kids' milestones, steering clear of Alex. "They're thriving, Mom. That's what matters." Evelyn nodded, but her eyes betrayed lingering conflict. Back home, she wrestled with her faith. Sermons clashed with memories of Mark as a boy, innocent and loving. Meanwhile, societal pressures mounted subtly. At work, Mark's promotion stalled. Colleagues whispered about the scandal. Alex faced similar biases in his freelance world. Gigs drying up. "It's not overt, but it's there," he said one evening, frustration boiling. Mark held him close. "We'll push through. Together." But togetherness tested limits. Alex proposed moving to San Francisco, where acceptance flowed freer. A fresh start, away from this mess. Mark hesitated. The kids anchored him to Chicago. "I can't abandon them." The argument flared, exposing cracks. Alex stormed out, returning hours later with apologies. But the seed of doubt sprouted. Sarah noticed Mark's strain during a handoff. "Your mom's reaching out to me again," she revealed. "Wants to see the kids, but only if Alex isn't around." Mark's jaw tightened. "She's still manipulating." He confronted Evelyn by phone. "If you want back in, accept all of us." Her response chilled him. "I can't. Not yet." The turning point came at Emily's birthday party. Invited reluctantly, Evelyn arrived bearing gifts. The kids rushed to her, hugs erasing months of absence. But when Alex entered, carrying cake, Evelyn stiffened. "Is he here?" she hissed to Mark. "Yes, Mom. He's family." The standoff peaked as Evelyn gathered her things to leave. Emily tugged her sleeve. "Grandma, stay. Alex is nice. He helps with homework." The child's innocence pierced Evelyn's armor. She stayed, awkward conversations ensuing. Alex extended kindness, sharing stories of his own grandmother's eventual acceptance. By evening's end, Evelyn didn't embrace the situation, but she didn't flee. It was a small victory, born of a child's unfiltered love. Yet deeper mending required sacrifice. Mark attended church with Evelyn one Sunday, not to convert, but to bridge gaps. "I respect your beliefs, Mom. Respect mine." She wept during the service, later confessing, "I'm trying, son. It's hard letting go of what I thought was right. The emotional toll accumulated. Mark sought therapy, unpacking decades of suppression. Sessions revealed his resentment toward Evelyn's control, but also gratitude for her sacrifices as a single mother. She gave everything for me, he told the therapist. Now I need her to let me be me. Alex, too, grappled with his role. I'm not the villain in her story, he said. They decided on couples counseling, fortifying their bond against external storms. As winter approached, a crisis hit. Jack fell ill with pneumonia, hospitalized overnight. The family converged: Sarah, Mark, Alex, even Evelyn. In the waiting room, tensions dissolved in shared worry. Evelyn prayed silently, then turned to Alex. Thank you for being here. It was her first acknowledgement, a crack in the wall. Jack recovered, but the scare prompted reflection. Mark realized the fragility of life, the futility of grudges. He organized a holiday dinner, insisting on inclusivity. Evelyn attended, tentative peace reigning. Conversations skirted controversy, focusing on gratitude. But peace proved illusory. Evelyn's church pressured her to correct her stance, leading to a backslide. She canceled a visit, citing conflicts. Mark's disappointment turned to determination. We won't beg, he told Sarah. She chooses now. The narrative built toward climax, each character paying dearly. Mark's career setbacks, Alex's eroded confidence, Sarah's divided loyalties, Evelyn's isolation. The drama underscored the human cost of prejudice, the arduous path to acceptance. Spring brought tentative renewal to the fractured family. Mark's demotion reversed after a diversity initiative at work highlighted his story anonymously. Alex secured a stable job, their relationship strengthening through shared adversity. The kids flourished. Their questions about daddy's boyfriend met with honest, age-appropriate answers. Evelyn, however, remained on the periphery. Invitations went unanswered until a letter arrived. Handwritten, her script shaky. I've been wrong, Mark. Not about my faith, but about love. God teaches forgiveness, and I've failed that. She requested a meeting, alone. They met at her house, the air scented with fresh-baked cookies, a peace offering. Evelyn's eyes were clear, resolute. I joined a support group for parents of LGBTQ children. This challenged everything. Mark listened, stunned, as she described her journey. Reading testimonies, questioning doctrines, confronting her fears. I was afraid of losing you to hell, but pushing you away, I lost you here. Tears flowed as Mark embraced her. It's not too late, Mom. She nodded, then asked about Alex. Tell me about him, really? Mark shared their story, the love that sustained him through the storm. Evelyn didn't endorse it fully, but she listened without judgment. The reconciliation rippled outward. Evelyn met Alex properly, over dinner. Conversation was stilted at first, but Alex's charm won ground. I admire your strength, Mrs. Thompson, he said. She smiled faintly. Call me Evelyn. Sarah welcomed the change, the co-parenting unit solidifying. Family outings included Evelyn, boundaries respected. The kids beamed, their world whole again. But healing bore scars. Mark reflected on the betrayals, the photos, the court battles, the manipulations. Forgiveness came, but trust rebuilt slowly. Evelyn volunteered at a LGBTQ-friendly charity, her transformation a testament to growth's possibility. Society's echoes persisted. Occasional slurs, judgmental glances. Mark joined advocacy groups, channeling pain into purpose. Our story isn't unique, he told Alex, but maybe it helps others. The climax resolved in quiet triumph, each character transformed. Mark's coming out, once a shockwave, became a foundation for authenticity. Sarah found love anew, her heart mended. Alex embraced his role, no longer the outsider. Evelyn, redeemed, cherished her family without conditions. Yet the narrative's end posed lingering questions about morality and choice. The decisions, coming out, divorcing, fighting back, exacted heavy tolls, but birthed deeper connections. Was Evelyn's initial interference a misguided act of love, or an unforgivable breach of boundaries that no apology could fully erase.